Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys, and thanks for tuning in. We got a kind of a interesting one today. You know, you got a meta in this game. Generally, you see maps play out in a fairly similar fashion. And there's good places and bad places to go based on your class of tank and your tiering, even without knowing what the other team's setup is. But of course, once you get into an actual map, then a lot of that stuff goes out the window. Or perhaps that's a bad way to say it. It doesn't go out the window, but it can absolutely be adjusted. And then as the match progresses, it can be adjusted even more on the fly. Look at this setup. This is a really interesting setup right here. They have a Lurva and we have a Caliban, a couple Progettos, some TDs. They have an Assault TD and a TS5, and we have two soft skin TDs. And then we get into the cats and dogs. We have a couple Assault TDs at tier 7-ish with the CC-56, which happens to be what I'm driving. They've got the 100-01, but also a soft TD in the Super, and then a couple RDs and some other cats and dogs. I thought this was a really interesting setup. I'm over here on the west side on Himmel's Studzianski Dorf. You look at this, you go, well, the CC-56 has good turret, but do I really want to go over where I expect the Lurva to be in the factory and just kind of get penned by the low in the turret? This is a good turret. I could get some bounces, but he starts dabbing too. I'm going to have some trouble on that. I'm running vents. I've got all of my bounty stuff on this. Vents, IA, and a turbo. I've got a fire extinguisher on there, at least the personal, whatever the hell that thing is, directive, that's it. Because the crew isn't fire extinguisher trained, not all of them anyway, and I am not running an automatic fire extinguisher, I have food. So I've got a bit of a try-hard situation going on right here. And we'll take a look at what's going on. Now I'm doing the 100 battle challenge with this tank. I'm probably at 87 or so battles, and I want to say my mark situation is around 82-83%. So I might actually be able to mark this thing before I move on after the 100 battles. All right, so I've decided not to go into the factory over there. I am, in fact, going to go over here and try to get into the middle if the opportunity presents itself. I'm featuring this battle here because it doesn't really play out as you might expect it to play out. So we come on down here, Progetto 33601, the TER, all kind of pushing in. The Caliban does go over to take on where we expect the Lurva to show up, so that's good. I'm actually going to come through here. I noticed the 3601 and the 43 get through, and they don't get shot. That means they haven't really pushed much up right here, and that's fantastic. Remember that they've got some of those heavy hitters, the TS5 and the RHMB, which can be in the background there. The 100-01, he's a fairly heavy hitter, and he's decided to play more of an Assault TD idea, so he's pushed up. Now we get this guy lit. I get over here unlit, not seen, and I'm just going to come up here and we'll finish this guy off. And that's a great kill initially. Now I am spotted, so I expect perhaps the 304 and the M12 to start focusing me. That's a fairly standard spot, so I'm going to move on. Notice, though, that the artillery strikes are going into the north, and then, of course, one comes down there onto our Progetto. P43, where he is not a great plan, especially if they own the middle still or they own their side of the middle like the Lurva and the Caro do. If those guys get lit, they're going to get shot in the side from the guys over in the factory. Then we find the TS5 has decided to come up. I'll just snap one off and hope I can get a shot, and we'll go for a reload. I don't want to continue to poke there because I'm worried about the RHM being in the back there, maybe even the AT8. So we'll get a full reload here. I don't want to poke up until I'm about reloaded, and oh, he just gets away from me. Just gets a little bit past. You can see that we have a KV2. Take a shot, doesn't work. It does take a while for this thing to reload in between shots. The intra clip is really slow on this autoloader. And we end up losing our Progetto and our P43 TER, and all of a sudden I'm starting to lose HEP over here. Nice shot goes in there and takes out their BIS, and their TS5 dies. All right, that's great. So things were looking not great. All of a sudden now it's looking great. And I'm starting to worry a little bit about what's going on up there in the north. We find the KV2. I miss. So he got lit and pulled back. He takes a hit. I'm hoping he'll kind of come back into that little opening there. He doesn't. I'll go to a reload. Notice I only had one shell left. The KV2 backed up. I didn't really have a shot. All of a sudden we find the Hellcat there. I'll just hit C. The full reload on this thing is 15 seconds, which is actually very useful. Hellcat's coming out. He dies, and we'll back out. So I got lit. Whether it was the Hellcat or something closer, I don't know. Now we're going to head this way. So the idea here is I'm pretty sure I don't want to, and just to stop here real quick, notice the typing RHM up there too. I saw that, and that's why I didn't continue poking there. That let me know that the RHM was back in that corner. So now I'm going to come over here, and this is a nice thing to do. Once you know that your rear is secured, as you can see, we got a Scorpion 3601 and etc. behind me. So I'm not worried for the moment about them pushing hard into this ravine and spotting me, because I have some guys backing me up, canary in the coal mine kind of thing, keeping them honest, and that's going to allow me to come over here and work this middle. Now this is one thing that a lot of players struggle with, is where do I go next kind of ideas. You know, you've got the 3601, the two TDs are sort of just sitting there looking for a shot. Instead of working around and figuring out where they can get a shot, people tend to sort of just sit there. So we put some shots onto the Caro. This is working out nicely. For a change, I actually let it aim all the way in. Now he decides to get no kidding covered up. So he goes rushing in. I'm like, what is he doing? Going into the middle, I guess. That's very strange. And we'll just look for a highlight of him. Can't find him. There we go. Not my kill, unfortunately. We'll back out and want to reload. All right, there's the Lurva. So the Lurva's now spotted. Got myself a kill and 852 damage. And we'll just see if we can aim nicely in on this guy. Do I go for that back deck? Do I go for the side of the turret? We'll take the side of the turret. So far the Caliban is holding strong. He doesn't have a whole lot of hit points left, but he's not dead. That's a good thing. Thought about headed back that way, but we're going to stick here for just a minute. Come back up. Maybe somebody will like that Lurva and we can take care of him. Nothing doing right now. A little bit of indecision on my part on exactly what I want to do. I'm watching that 3601. I'm wondering if he's actually going to move up and get a light. And it looks like he might do so. Push up in there and get a proxy light. There we go. And now I'm just looking for, can I get some kind of highlight on him? This is the problem with looking through bushes like this. When you get the 15 meters, that's great for camo. For your shots, it's not so good for trying to figure out what part of the other guy you can see. Notice I'm just swinging the cursor around a little bit, the pipper, to try to find out if I can get a highlight on the guy. 304. Just have a little bit. May have to take a shot here. Yeah, I do take a shot. All right. I actually may have hit him right there. It looked like it was carving down. I figured I might get lit there, but I didn't. That's good SA, though. Actually, I was sticking around the corner of that building just a bit. Makes me feel like there's maybe not anybody on this northern section of their hill right there. Or maybe they had backed down at the time. It's hard to tell. But I didn't get lit. I do know that. Now we've got a KV-2 sitting over there. We've cranked up the 1200 damage, 189 assist. I'm checking 6. There's still a Scorpion and a 130, but notice that we did lose our medium that was over there helping them. So they're over on our side of the ravine. That means that the ravine, potentially, if something can get by those two, I might get lit from behind. And there is a Type 64 still wandering around, although he was seen up in the north last. Now he's very maneuverable, and it's been a while since we've seen him. Then we got an AT moving around. It's going to give me an opportunity to shoot him in the side. I figure I'm going to get lit, but okay, I did. He turns, and let's back out of that. A little bit dangerous, actually, staying there. I should have shot and just backed out and assumed I was going to be lit. One of the reasons I didn't actually do it, this is very surprising, he took a shot where I was. One of the reasons I didn't immediately back up is we're starting to get down to the point in the game where there's not many guns left. And if we take a look, count noses, all that good stuff, other than the RHM, we pretty much know where everybody is. Their Progetto has been sniping from somewhere, unspotted. RHM unspotted, M12 unspotted. The rest of them have been spotted. So I figured it was a bit, how would I say this? The risk was going to be worth potentially a second shot. I'm really curious at this point. This game has been going on. They did talk about the RHM being down in the southeast corner at one point. That was a while ago. It's what I'd call a stale. I would call it a stale light if he'd been lit, but it's stale intel at this point based on the typing that's what had happened. Now, the Caliban's in trouble right there. So we've got myself here with SMV-56 providing crossfire on the C row. The 130 and the Scorpion have fallen back, and this is where it gets really, really interesting. Now you got to love that, right? I'm going to get a good result out of this game. It's nice if you can ammo rack a KV2 for 1,060 damage. That's going to help your damage count right there. We're up to 2 kills and 29-27. So this is a lot of good crossfire for the guys in the over here against the Lurva. The CC-56 should keep the Type 64 honest unless he actually pushes up in there and gets him lit. Now my concern is my 6 o'clock, right? There's quite a few tanks, to include the Progetto and the RHM. If both those guys show up, I'm in big trouble. And guess what? The RHM just showed up, and I'm going to eat a big shot. Ow. And get lit on fire. Trying to get my gun on him takes a long time. Alright, I choose not to shoot because I only have 2 shells. It was going to be a fairly risky shot, and I didn't want to spin and shoot and make him think that now I'm down to 2 shells. I'd actually be down to 1, but you would have to assume, if you didn't know anything about the rest of my load right now, so to speak, if I shot and missed, you would assume I have 2. But it would be worse for me because I'd actually only have 1. I'm going to look for a shot on this guy, and I'm wondering if I'm going to get hit by the M12 too. Really, what he should have done is reloaded and just come down and tried to kill me. Looks like he's sort of thinking that. The Arty hits him. That's very helpful. Very helpful indeed. The other Arty hits him. Gets him down to 619, but he's not one-shottable. Could have gone for a HE reload. I kind of really expected him to come, right? He's got 600 hit points. He could still take a shot and kill me off, but he's going to hang out there. Now what's going through my brain is, crap. What he's really doing is waiting for his buddy, maybe the Progetto or somebody. But guess what? The Progetto's just been seen up north. So I'm really feeling like there's not a whole lot that's going to come help him, but I'm also concerned about being shot in the back by these guys over here, which they don't have a great shot, but I do have to be careful if they can get maybe a pixel off of my turret right there. So I made a little move forward, and now we're going to back up so I can go hold down right here if he wants to show up, and then the KV2 shows up, and I'm thinking this is it. But I get some serious help from the Scorpion, and I'm really just in survival mode right here. Absolute survival mode. Just trying to figure out, how do I get rid of this RHM? Can I get him lit? I'm pretty sure the artillery's probably reloaded. So let's just go at this dude, see what we can do. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Oh, very interesting. We'll shoot him. Now, one thing I maybe should have done there while I was sort of rocking back and forth, and I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what he was doing. Wasn't sure if somebody else was coming. Was I only going to get one more shot? I really probably should have reloaded back in there a while ago. And I don't know what this guy's doing. If he's AFK, may have assumed I still had another shot, and we end up killing this guy off, right? So very lucky, a full hit point RHM. Now I'm going to scooch forward here and really get myself covered up from any shots from the middle. And all of a sudden it's down to a 4v3. So we've lost a few guys. The AT-8 dies. That's very nice. And we'll spin back around this away. All we've got to do is track down a very low hit point Lurva. And there he is. Interesting. So he's got into the middle. To be honest, I'm not sure how he did that. I guess the Su-130 was just not quite in a position to spot him. Arty goes in, takes a stab at him. I'm going to keep on trucking. See if I can find their Arty. The Lurva's not going anywhere very fast. He's in the middle. We got guys in the bushes hiding or spotting him. The Scorpion gets him dead anyway. So I wasn't too worried about him, actually. Normally I would prioritize the tank in a situation like that. But with the low hit points we have between myself, the Scorpion, and the 130, what I really didn't want to do is give the artillery an opportunity to continue to kill the one-shots. But that's all been rectified by the fact that they took out the Lurva anyway. Come in here, get a light on him. I have no idea how he didn't see me, but there you go. Put one shot on him. Not enough. Not enough. I get a 266 or 286 roll, and he ends up dying. 3,832 damage with 3 kills. Kind of went weird on that one, to be quite honest. But you get into a match, you really have to just pay attention to what's going on and try to make your best decisions as the match is flowing. We push down there. We get into the middle. That's fairly standard. And then it was kind of weird how it went down from there in terms of they sort of pushed in. They lost a couple guys. It looked like maybe they were going to try to take us out. They didn't. Then we took their side of the ditch. And then guys started to die. I work north, try to work through there, and then all of our dudes bail, right? They run away. Of course, you don't really expect a Scorpion and a Su-130 to go pushing in, and their RHM was in the corner, or at least he was for a while back there, so there really was no good reason to continue to push, because all the guys who continued to push died on both teams, right? So it was very disjointed and disorganized on each team right there. And I did have to pay real close attention to what was going on at my 6 o'clock, and I almost missed the fact that the RHM came in there. Really quite lucky I was able to farm a good portion of that RHM. He didn't kill me. That was a pretty bad misplay. I didn't pay attention to what his skill level was in the game there, but he was having serious issues. Some of that may be not really ever knowing what my reload status was. You know what I'm saying? Because especially after he got hit a couple times and probably got down to basically a 2-shot, and especially when I got him down to a 1-shot, he probably didn't want to poke out there and try to risk getting hit. Also, maybe some misassessment on how fast this tank can reload and fire. And I could also, this is what's so interesting about this game, I could also have been making a lot of bad assumptions. Maybe he has no idea that tank is an autoloader. I don't know. Right? You take all those good ideas, you sort of assume to a large extent that the other guy knows about what you know, but that's not necessarily always true. He could know a lot less or a lot more. All right, there you go. So Ace Tanker in the CC-56. Quite like this tank, getting close to finishing the 100 battle challenge. I'll be glad to move on to the 8 to knock the 100 battles out in that. But I like this a lot better than I did, I think, when I made the review. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was terrible. I think it's a lot better, actually, than I thought it was. All right, that's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see ya.